Welcome to Your Biz, Your Rules, the podcast for business-minded go-getters hosted by me, your favourite brain and biz coach, Daire Paddy. This is the spot for those of you ready to blend heart and head, woo and do, income and impact, change and chill, and so much more. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. Welcome back or to Your Biz, Your Rules. I'm your host, Daire Paddy. Now in this episode, I'm going to dive into what you can expect from the new and improved show because God knows a whole lot has changed in the past 18 months. Now, I feel like I need to just make a little disclaimer right now about the audio quality. So I have a jazzy microphone that for some reason is not working, and the reason I know this is because I just recorded this episode and there is no audio there, it doesn't exist, so I'm having to use my inbuilt microphone for the foreseeable future just until we get the tech sorted again. So if you can hear a little bit of feedback, if you can hear a little bit of just scratchiness in the background, I'm really sorry about that, but I didn't want to use it as an excuse to procrastinate and not do this. So let's get down to it now and talk about why I'm recording this episode. So if you are a veteran listener, you will know that at some point in April of 2020, I just stopped uploading new episodes. I didn't tell anybody why, I didn't make any announcements, I didn't wrap anything up, I just stopped. And the reasons for that, they're not as deep as you think, they're really not. But essentially what happened is the postman came. And if you have dogs, you know that the postman coming is quite an event. It's something to get very, very excited about. And on one such of these days, the postman came, my dogs got excited, and one of them ran straight onto my desk, got tangled up in my computer cable, and yanked the whole thing off where it promptly smashed on the floor. Why does this interfere with the podcast, you might ask? Well, all of my assets, all of my, the intro, the outro, a whole bunch of episodes that I'd batched, interviews that I'd done with people, were all saved on my desktop. And I know that is a dumbass move, rookie mistake. I should have had everything backed up, but I didn't. And I couldn't get it switched on. I couldn't get any of the old stuff off. So I was very much left in the lurch. And I had, thankfully, a backup laptop that I could use to do most of my work stuff. But for some reason, my microphone would not connect to it. So I couldn't actually record any audios. And because it was so old, just trying to record with the inbuilt microphone, the audio quality was so terrible that I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I took all of these little tech dramas as my permission slip to just press pause. And while it pissed me right off at the time, I'm so grateful that I gave myself that break from recording, just because it really allowed me to figure out where I wanted to go moving forward, because I was making a lot of changes in my life and in my business at that point anyway. I'd just gone through a massive rebrand. I was really repositioning the work that I do in the world, and it gave me some time to figure things out before I had to be on and talking and sharing and recording and all of that stuff. So let's talk about what you might have missed in the past 18 months. Unless you follow me on Instagram, of course, where I'd ramble on about everything anyway. So one of the big things that changed, and I hinted at this earlier, is that I really decided to reposition my entire business. So those of you who have been in my world for a while will know that I used to be known for content. So I used to support people exclusively with their visibility and their marketing and putting themselves out there and all of that good stuff. And don't get me wrong, that is important work, but it doesn't set my soul on fire. I sort of sidestepped into doing marketing after leaving my corporate job because that's what I used to do there. So it was this set of transferable skills that I could push straight into a new business. And that's what I did. But it was never the thing that made me think, yes, this is it. this is what I'm here to be doing. It was just something that came easily to me. And there got to this point where I was like, do you know what? Easy isn't enough anymore. Just because you're naturally good at something doesn't mean it is the work you were put on this earth to do. And I had to really sit with that for a while, because I had spent years building this business, cultivating these relationships, all based on this very specific set of skills and services that I was offering. And so what I had to do, what I was forced to do really, is to let go of all of the clients that I had who needed that from me. So all of the one-to-one retainers that I had to close the loop on, which was hard because a lot of these people I'd been working with for years and we had a really close relationship, but my heart wasn't in it anymore, and that wasn't fair for me, and it certainly wasn't fair for them. And what I had to remember is that there will always be somebody else who would be thrilled to have that opportunity. And so if you are ever in this position where you feel bad for quote unquote letting people down or not wanting to do that work anymore, just remember that somewhere out there will be somebody else who would honestly be giddy at the idea of working with that client doing that specific work. So I had to say goodbye to those clients. I also closed down my membership, the Content Arsenal, which had been my baby. I'd been running it for just over 2 years, I believe. Yeah, about 2.5 years. And I loved it. I did love it at the time. But towards the end, I just kept feeling like this isn't it. Like this isn't what I want to be spending my time and energy on. And I knew that I needed to really draw a line in the sand. Otherwise, I would go back to what's comfortable. I had to really cut myself off from the security blanket and jump into the work I wanted to be doing. And just to be clear, I didn't just on a whim decide to do something completely different. This is stuff that I'd been sort of juggling for a while anyway. So with a lot of those one-to-one clients that I mentioned, the content management retainers, I was offering them a lot of coaching support behind the scenes and a lot of business management support behind the scenes. Not everybody, but a good chunk of them. So I'd already started supporting people in growing their businesses in different ways, sort of from the inside out rather than the outside in, which is very much what the visibility stuff is. And I had also become certified in a bunch of coaching modalities, and I was sort of juggling the content and the coaching. But the more and more I coached, I realized, no, like this is the work I want to be doing. This is, like, I can get on a client session and feel so much more energized by the end of it and just excited to show up to my desk. Like really just, it's hard to describe that feeling of just knowing when this is what you are supposed to be doing with your life. And that's how I feel when I coach people. So I had to make those decisions to close things down, bring about some endings, which I'm not very good at. And it was difficult for me. It was really difficult because I love to be needed. I love to feel indispensable. And that is a drug I was being given with those clients I was working with in the past. So after I'd made that decision and I just threw myself all into the coaching, I went through my rebrand, all of that stuff. This is about the time when we went into the first lockdown. In fact, the day I announced my rebrand, literally the day that I put that first post on Instagram sharing my new graphics, we went into the first lockdown. And so everything that I had planned, because I had an idea, I had a strategy of how I was going to make this transition, everything just went to hell in a handbasket. Nothing went to plan. Everything was in chaos. Everybody was freaking out. And I quickly had to pivot and figure some different things out and really make those changes in the moment. Like I no longer had the luxury to, I don't know, to like have some buffer, to have things go slowly. Like I had to very quickly decide what I was going to do and start doing it. So all that to say, I immediately started creating new products. And my reasons for doing this is I really wanted to figure out what it is that I like to do most, what I really wanted to focus my time and energy on. Because when we say business coach, it's vast. Like, we could be talking about many, many different things. And I knew that the only way that I was going to figure out where I really wanted to be is by doing different stuff, figuring out what I loved, figuring out what annoyed me, and like that would give me the insight that I needed. So I immediately set to work creating things, and I started with like a set of 3 paid workshops that were like really fun to put together. Loved doing that. And then I moved on to creating other products. So I did a month-long free challenge that allowed me to test some stuff out. I did Cosmic Bitch, which has sort of morphed into Unshakable Business Academy, which is my flagship like 12-month group coaching program that I love, 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 love. I have put together like hypnosis and tapping programs like Unapologetic Wealth. I've put together some more like self-study things like Unshakable Journaling 365 and now the Standard of Excellence, which is a little bit of a passion project to really help people become unforgettable coaches and healers in this deeply unregulated world. I've created so much stuff, and what I realized during this time is that that's what I like. I don't want to niche down. I don't want to be specific. I don't want to just be talking about one thing all the time. I honestly think I would die of boredom. And so I'm leaning into that. I'm stepping away from this ridiculous rhetoric that we have to be so specific and so close-minded and so like one track with our thinking and our doing, which is a lot of what is taught in the like business building coaching world. And that's just not what I'm about. I want to feel inspired. I want to feel interested. I want to feel engaged in the work that I'm doing. And for me, that means I need variety. And that's not going to be the case for everybody, but that's something I really learned about myself, or really affirmed about myself, because I think secretly deep down I've always known this, but it's something that I really resisted. What else happened in this time? So I made the decision to really deepen my mastery. So I was already certified in a bunch of coaching modalities that I was sort of juggling while doing the content stuff. But I decided to take it a step further and become master certified in some of these. So I'm now master certified in life and success coaching, EFT, NLP, clinical hypnosis, time techniques, some like really magical stuff, the taboo system. And then I've also done a practitioner level certification in some other modalities. So things like being an Akashic Records practitioner, a breathwork practitioner, all kinds of things that can really work together seamlessly to allow me to create the most epic transformations for all of the amazing humans that I work with. I don't think I'm ever going to be that person who stops studying. I love learning. I love always upskilling and making sure I'm bringing the very best to the people I work with. And so why stop? Why stop? If something interests me and I can see how it will make a change or an impact on somebody whose success I'm invested in, why the hell not? What else did I do? So after my years and years and years of banging on about how I would never start a Facebook group, I started a Facebook group. And it is a group with a little bit of a difference in that it is only for clients. So it's a client-only community. And when I say client, I mean either people I'm working with currently or people that I have worked with in the past. So anybody who has ever signed up for any of my sessions or programs or literally anything, they are welcomed with open arms. And inside of there, I'm giving them a bunch of free, like exclusive resources, but we're also doing weekly co-working, and then I've got some other exciting bits and pieces planned for the new year. And I'm really enjoying it so far, and who ever thought that I would say that about a Facebook group? Certainly not me. And what else have you missed? Well, I stopped drinking caffeine, which was a challenge and a half. So last year I had to do this elimination diet thing to figure out some food intolerances, and one of the things that we had to do right at the beginning was to cut out all caffeine and all sugar, because the spikes that you can experience both after caffeine and sugar, and then also the slumps, can mask the symptoms of food stuff. So I had to cut those out completely. And now I can't find coffee that tastes good, even though I tried going back to the coffee that I loved before doing the elimination diet. It's not it anymore, which is a bummer, but this is where we are. I'm still trying to navigate the energetic changes in my caffeine-free life, but so far so stable-ish. What else? We also adopted a third dog. So a friend of mine had to move really quickly, very little notice, and the place that she found, it was no pets allowed. So we ended up taking in a third wild collie, which is a job and a half, but he is so cute. He's so sweet. I wouldn't have it any other way, even though they are exhausting now that there are 3 of them. So that's been a big thing in my world. And then last but not least, probably the other highlight is that I started finishing a lot of TV shows. One of the little intentions that I had for myself when we started going into the many lockdowns is that I wanted to finish some of the shows that I started. Now, it would not be an exaggeration to say that there were probably 15, 20 different TV shows that I've watched multiple times without ever finishing. I don't know what it is, but I can very rarely bring myself to watch the final season of something. So I've really made it a priority to start doing that. So in the past year, I've started and finished Bones, Castle, Elementary, One Tree Hill, which has been, I've binge watched all of them apart from the final season many times, but now I've finally finished. What else? I'm sure there are more. I'm now currently working on The Mentalist, but it's giving me this kind of sense of satisfaction just ticking different things off and finally finishing things. And it is also pushing me to take extra downtime, which is not something that I've always been particularly good at. But anyway, while I was figuring all of these things out and watching an awful lot of TV, I just needed to take that break from recording. But now I'm back. So today you are receiving 2 episodes from me. But after today, you'll be receiving 1 brand new episode every Monday morning, available in your podcast app of choice. Now, one of the biggest changes that you'll notice for those of you who are veteran listeners is that I'm no longer focusing exclusively on that content, that marketing, that visibility stuff. I'm weaving together all of my different strands of genius to help you build your business your way, which really has always been the intention of this podcast. I mean, the clue is in the name. Your Biz, Your Rules. Sometimes that will mean exploring energy management. Sometimes we'll focus on time management and getting stuff done. Sometimes we'll be dismantling your money dramas. Sometimes it'll be all about getting creative with your product creation and promotion. Sometimes it might be community building, or what else? Basically anything goes. What will remain consistent is the undercurrent of honesty. Everything I share here, or anywhere for that matter, will be something that I've tried successfully myself or worked on with clients to help them achieve concrete results. I am not in the business of teaching you things or sharing things that could work in theory. That's no use to anyone. We need things that are grounded in real, tangible outcomes, right? I know I'm right. And just to set expectations for those of you who are new to me and my work, obviously I'm a bit on the weird side. You've probably gleaned that already. My dogs can often be heard pitter-pattering around in the background, and I don't edit that out. If they start barking like nut jobs, yes, I'll chop those pieces out. But if they're just sort of scratching around on the laminate, I tend to leave that in. I should also mention that sometimes I swear when I get really passionate or really enthusiastic, so I would recommend wearing headphones if you have any tiny sensitive ears around you. I will always try to mark the explicit box if I do drop an F-bomb or the like, but obviously sometimes things like that can slip through the net, so headphones are your very best friend. And you should also know that I like to balance the sort of magical energetics with the practical strategy, meaning that you will usually get a nice balance of woo and do in most of these episodes. New concepts can be fun and inspiring, but they're really not much good to us if they're not anchored in action, which is why I like to end every single episode with a little challenge, a little piece of homework, a little activation to get you taking action. I don't want you to just passively listen to my words. I want you to do something with them. So speaking of which, here is your challenge for this week. I would love for you to hop over to the podcast app and leave me a review. Let me tell you why you should bother. On February the 1st, I'm going to choose my 3 favourite reviews and gift their creators a 90-minute one-on-one intensive with me. I usually sell these sessions for £555, so it's well worth a few moments of your time. And remember, you have until January 31st, 2022 to submit yours. Now, a little spoiler alert for our next episode, which is already available for you. I'm going to be sharing my favourite tips to help you get ready for a really leisurely year this year. So if that sounds like a bit of you, if you are ready to stop being so stressed and busy and overwhelmed in 2022, then go ahead and listen to that now. And if you want to make sure that you never miss another upload, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to Your Biz, Your Rules. I know that we all like to listen to podcasts, watch videos, read articles or books or posts on Facebook and not really do anything with that information. So I want to challenge you right now. I want to challenge you to take something from this episode, anything, and use it to spark action. Use it to activate some kind of change in the way you work and the way you live. Do yourself this service today and tell me all about it on Instagram. Hop over, shoot me a DM or share an Instagram story showcasing what action you are taking thanks to this episode. And of course, do all of the usual things. Subscribe, leave a review, let me know how much you love the show, and I will be back with you next week.